again. Believe that? Right, for like 8 months already. Probably more. Over nothing. All right, guys, like the show. Follow the host. Share with haters. Let me share with some haters now. Hold on 1 second. Let me see. Hold on. Give it going. Share it with the haters. Share it with some haters. All right, we're limited to 15 at a time. Guys, okay, someone says, Big John says, Jesus is God. Okay, I disagree. Yes, it says I shared the light. What do you mean outlawed? I guess you're talking to someone else, and I'm convinced the Jewish community remembers it. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Hello, YouTube world. I haven't done a live in like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. Life. It's hard to work a regular job and be a rabbi on the side, and still be such a powerhouse. If I may toot my own horn, isn't being Jewish also an ethnicity? No, being Jewish. Okay, all right. Yes, there's an ethnic component to being Jewish. However, Judaism is not an ethno religion. Hola, Yudi, dímelo, diabla, plátano, Juventura su caballo. You know what's up. Yes, so is being Jewish an ethnicity? Let's put it like this. There's an ethnic component to the Jewish people, an ethnic component, although Judaism is not an ethno religion. And that's it. And what's that ethnic component, at least from a religious perspective? That the rabbis decided if your mother is Jewish, they will declare you as someone liable for breaking the penalties of halakha, liable for the penalties for breaking the halakha. If you happen to live in the land of Israel. Yeah. Welcome, Alter Walkie.
You call me that.
I'm never going to let you forget it. You got to keep it real. Like, it's a reminder to help you man up Israel. Man up Israel. Talk about Karaites.
Alter walking.
So Judy wants to know about Karaites. What is a Karaite? A Karaite is essentially someone who does not believe in the oral law and tries to live his or her Jewish experience or walk in life by Tanakh alone, which doesn't make a lot of sense because it was the rabbis who canonized Nach. If they wanted to be uber accurate, it should be Torah alone. But yes, there's a distinction between traditional Karaites, those that trace their lineage back to the 9th century, and the Karaites or the Neo-Karaites of, let's say, Nehemiah Gordon. These Neo-Karaites actually accept converts, while the traditional Karaites did not. They actually have their own oral law. It's called the Sevo Yerusha, which means like the yoke of the inheritance, and breaks down the do's and don'ts. I would say that Karaites are also somewhat on the same page. The Karaite doesn't really walk around with a Bible under his or her arm, deciphering Torah law for themselves. They also have a tradition to follow. Right? We have our tradition. We call it the oral law. They have their tradition. It's called the Sevo Yerusha. So look at that. Okay, no one's truly sola scriptura. Okay. And that's Karaite Judaism in a nutshell. I don't believe Karaite Jews are an extension of the Sadducees. It's a movement from around the 9th century of the Common Era. Talk about Rabbi Nachman. Rabbi Nachman, Nachman Meuman. There's a song. It's probably like the most famous Nanach song. It's like a dance song. They play it in all the festivals in Israel, from Meron to wherever. And it's that song. Rabbi Nachman, Nachman Meuman. So Rabbi Nachman was the last and the only Rebbe of Breslov. He wasn't. Did he die die in Uman? I know he's buried in Uman. Yeah. What is there to tell? I don't know. Like every Rosh Hashanah, they go to his grave. As a matter of fact, if you're Jewish, you could probably get a free ticket. I don't think they did it last year, right? There's a war going on in Ukraine, so I don't know how they're getting people there for Rosh Hashanah. But yes, it's a big festival full of guys. If you're a guy who likes hanging out with guys, you will be in heaven. It's they pray at the grave of Rabbi Nachman every Rosh Hashanah. Rabbi Nachman, the author of, he didn't really write anything. I think Rabbi Nassan is the one who wrote everything for him. The Kutamaran. It's the Breslov Bible, right? Equivalent to like what Tanya is to Chabad, what the New Testament is to Christians. What else do you want to know? Oh, okay. So Breslov, okay, Nanach is to Breslov what Chabad is to Lubavitch. So the Nanachs are like the Breslover Hasidim that wear like the white kippahs. They almost all wear the white kippahs now. And they smoke a lot of, that POT, and they dance on top of vans, and they throw out either literature, CDs, cassettes, I guess, in the old days. Yes, I don't think you see that much in America, them dancing on the vans, but that's a big thing you see in Israel. And regular Breslov Hasidim are quite serious, but these people are just like, troublemakers. They spray paint, they vandalize Israel. You see it all over the place. Nachman, because they believe that by saying this creed or this utterance, good luck will befall you, or you will be blessed in a certain way. Right? There was a rabbi named Rabbi Israel Odesser who said that he found a letter written by Rabbi Nachman to him, instructing him to say Nachman Meuman. If you say that over and over again, alongside with other anecdotes of Rabbi Nachman, which includes dancing and always being very extremely happy, good things will befall you. And that is why they do what they do. Let me see if I do it right. I think it's like this. This is a Nanach sign.
And that's gang stuff.
Yeah, it's gangster. So like in Israel, like they'll go up to you like and they'll do like this. It's like a nun. You see how it's like a nun? Right? So they're like Nana Nachman. I guess most people don't know that. What?
Okay. So here.
Yeah. Why don't Messianics have a sign? Like if Nanaks have this for a nun, so like a yud, like for Yeshua, like, it should be like this, like two yuds, like yo, Yeshua HaMashiach. No?
You have to ask Radar that question.
Was Radar your Rebbe? I mean, it rhymes, Radar Rebbe. Or like Rebbe Radar.
Okay, so here, question. Or here, I'll say Shemos, chapter 20 and verse 5.
Yeah.
Okay, so right here, knock, and then, I don't know if you can pull the linear, but it's like, tis Tanaway, you shall not bow down.
Yeah.
In the Hebrew concordance, it's 17:12. So you shall not bow down, nor you serve them, for I am Yahweh your God. I am jealous, visiting the ancients of the fathers who have fallen to the third and fourth one.
Yeah, your audio sucks. Yeah, so what's your point?
Okay, so that's why am I echoing?
I don't know. Your audio is not so good. So yeah, I mean that word means to prostrate, like to bow, and so that was one mode of worship. So yeah, it essentially means don't worship. Don't bow down to statues. Okay, fine. Some say that tying your shoe in a Catholic church might be problematic because bowing down is a form of worship. Although Maimonides says that you need to have intention to actually be liable. That means you need intention for a Avodah Zorah. I don't think this is true, according to the Talmud. Intention. Rabbis do not take intention into account. Now, there is, if in terms of warning, I mean, that's the only way they could classify it, right? If before you're actually adjudicated, if they warn you and you're like, oops, I didn't know, then that's different. But after the fact, if right before when you're in front of the Sanhedrin and you tell them I didn't know by that time, even though you were warned, then it doesn't matter. So intention, yes, it matters. It doesn't matter, but they determine intention right at the outset. That's the first thing they do. Hasra. Hasra means that they warn you. Like, the heck you're doing, Don't you know that men shouldn't behave like that with other men, right? Does this ring true for you, Alter?
Yeah, so it was. Oh, dude, what's wrong with that?
I don't know, bro.
Hey, are you on YouTube?
Yeah, I am on YouTube.
Can I just join you on YouTube?
Yeah. I mean, just go onto my page on YouTube, and then it should show that I'm live.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what's wrong.
I was listening to Weezer today. You remember Weezer?
Yeah.
Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly. I don't know the words, but it ends with Mary Tyler Moore. Don't care about us. Yeah. That and Smashing Pumpkins. It's been a while. All right, next. Come on. This is a religious show. What?
1979.
Oh, the album, you mean? Anyways. That's what I want to know. Do you people still listen to secular music, or have you become holier than thou? Saludos, Alejandro. I'll tell you, I've tried to listen to Jewish music, and it just sucks. It's not. We gotta be honest. Christian people, when it comes to praise and worship, they got that. They got that on lock, right? They threw the key away. Jewish music from like ayayay's, Avram Fried's, forget about it. We have to call things what they are. I used to have a radio station, an online radio station called Soul Praise, but soul was spelled S-O-L-E, meaning that it's solely talking about God, and it was essentially Christian music that didn't mention Jesus. Just like, Psalms, there's a lot of good Christian music that doesn't mention Jesus. And it's so much better than, what I'm talking about. Israeli rap. Yeah, but the Israeli rap's not religious. We're talking about religious music, right? Yeah, I played last time Subliminal, but they're not very far from being religious, but they're Israeli. That's another thing. You know how sometimes you have some Christians who are so, like, anti-everything irreligious, but when it comes to Jewish music, they'll listen to secular Jewish music. What does that tell you about this person? Okay? The standard should be the same, whether you're Israeli or not Israeli. Right? Well, only because it's in Hebrew, it's holy, right? They're like singing along. They don't know what they're saying, right? They could be talking about twerking in Hebrew, but it's in Hebrew. Guys, let's stop elevating blood and ethnicity. This matters not. Welcome, Goyim University. How did I find Judaism? Hebrew is a holy language. Okay. Yeah. So Maimonides answers that. He says, what makes Hebrew holy? That it doesn't have bad words in it. Now, of course, Kabbalists will give you a different response. But Maimonides was the, uber rationalist. And that makes sense. In modern day Hebrew, I don't think, most bad words are Arabic, or they're built off of Hebrew words, like Lech Le'azazel, like go to hell, but it doesn't, or like Ben Zonah, but that's not an actual curse word. So maybe the Rambam's got something there. But also, what does the word holy really mean? The word holy means set apart. That's all it means. I know from a non-Jewish perspective, it's automatically elevated to something in the clouds, all fluffy, immaculate. That's not what holy means. It just means sanctioned, put aside, not part of the mundane, not what they call chol. So there you go. A different perspective. All right. Here we have Rabbi Judas Shlita.
Hey, Rabbi.
Rabbi Judas Shlita.
Hi. So actually, I like that you're talking about music. Music. The subject of music in Judaism is very fascinating to me. And I'll tell you why. It's because my local shul rabbi, sorry I don't have sources for this, but my local shul rabbi once gave a shiur about how Chazal made a takana that forbidding music except in certain scenarios, and and he said that there are in fact some like very very pious Jewish people who don't listen to any music, but bottom line is instrumental music in general is without the words is generally always like hot hip hop beats and like techno beats. As long as there's no words, as far as I know, shouldn't be a problem. Out the Iker Hadin, but there is an I read in a sefer titled "Laws of the Holidays" by Rabbi Yonatan Nachman. It's a very it has a haskama from Rabbi Yitzhak Yosef Shlita, and it talks about how a Jew shouldn't spend all his time listening to music. But I do agree with you that a lot of the modern pop Jewish music isn't very good and very cringe. I like more traditional Jewish music at least. I have a soft spot for like silly like clumsier stuff like which I find very quaint because it just makes me feel like culturally Jewish. But I understand that it's like not really it's something that's pretty much divorced from Sephardic Jewry. I am a Sephardi Jew, but I have an appreciation for Yiddish culture.
Uh-huh. Klezmer, huh? Yeah. So it's true what you say that there's a takana gezerah. I don't know, like what is it exactly that the rabbis made listening to music usher. That means we're not allowed to listen to music in Judaism. Now, most people online are probably saying, "What are you talking about?" I mentioned this a few times. Ramosha Feinstein was like a rabbi who really pushed this understanding, but when he started to say that, everyone was just saying, "Oh, well, he's just getting old." This is the halacha, people. It takes a sane individual to know that there's some halachas that exist that we deliberately break. We'll have to deal
Yeah,
with.
my rabbi gave the response that we hold that in our times we are depressed, so for that reason we're like cholim, we're like sick people who need, and the music is medicine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just weak, and I mean,
Exactly.
I love music. However, I don't deny that it's a rabbinic prohibition. The problem with many people when they don't like a law, they'll say that law either doesn't exist. They'll say you're lying, or they'll explain it away.
Yeah, whenever this happens, people always like cast aspersions on the rabbis and tell them how like, oh, they're just taking advantage of people, and it makes me sad that they say that. What do you think of that, Rabbi?
Uh, well, I don't know about that. I don't know how that applies to the whole music thing. Do some rabbis take advantage of people? Sure, some Christians, imams, just some. Yeah, the the problem is we like to deify our rabbis, but basically when they say things that we already believe, right? But once you start hearing something that's a little uncomfortable, we're gonna say this guy's an idiot or this guy's that instead of saying, you know what, I've researched it myself. I've come to the conclusion that you're correct, but I'm weak. And when I die, I'll have to meet my maker, and I'll tell him just that. But the idea that God's going to punish you for breaking one halacha, right? I think it's a bit absurd. Like especially like if it's a rabbinic law, and some teach that rabbinic laws are not applicable in Gullus anyways. But anyways, yes, it's also to listen to music. There's a lot of things that we
There's
should.
a lot. There's permission to listen to music.
So there's a debate. They're saying that if it's for a mitzvah, or it's some say this, some say that if it's connected to a mitzvah, especially like a Sudas mitzvah, you could sing like Zimrot. I've heard other opinions. I mean, if the prohibition is that after the destruction of the second temple, we should be in avilut, like in mourning, like for the temple, then it shouldn't. I mean, it should be across the board. There's some people who don't listen to it at all. Right? I'm telling you, there's
Yeah,
some.
that's why that they also there's those who say that it's forbidden to sing, vocally sing, which is why many rabbis frown on secular lyrics,
So it's interesting
even
because
if the lyrics don't contain anything objectionable.
so that would also include singing while you're davening, which is the bulk of. I mean, the idea of being a chazan doesn't necessarily appear in the Talmud. Right, in the Talmud, meaning in the Gemara, like after, or technically before, right? I mean, there could be a cantor or no, but that doesn't mean that you're not. That's only how you pronounce the sentence, not necessarily that it's being sung. I mean, for example, like there's I mean, some people that during the repetition of the Amidah will like sing it to the tune of the Lion King. I mean, that regardless, I enjoy it. Right, I'm not going to deny that it's a halacha. There's a lot of things. I was saying last time how it's actually a halacha for all women to cover their hair. Right? I don't send my daughter to her Jewish school with a head covering. Right? But I'm not going to deny that that's what it says. While some people be like, no, that's not what it says. They want to feel like they're following Judaism like Moses did, perfect. Right? Not that he was perfect either, or like Jesus did, if you believe in Jesus. Right? So they'll find some other rabbi, a less informed rabbi, to say that halacha doesn't exist, right? Because it makes them feel good. But it's not what makes you feel good. It's what you can actually defend. Like if you can't defend your whole existence religiously, acknowledge that you're not perfect. No one's perfect, right? There's the idea of good deeds outweighing bad deeds, and that's our whole existence. It's not only for married women. No. So twilight. As if covering your hair in Judaism is only for married women, that's what's done nowadays. Yes, what's done nowadays. That's not the actual halacha. Don't make the mistake of thinking that only because rabbis teach something today that it's actually what appears in the Shulchan Aruch and the Rambam and the Talmud. It's not always true. Okay, it's true sometimes, most of the time, but it's not always true.
Asher, I have another question.
Yeah.
What? So I know that Asher was the name you chose when you became a ger.
Yep.
Why did you change? Why did you choose the name Asher?
So before I converted, I like the name Simcha, right? I feel like I'm a happy fellow, right? I'm very cheerly. I'm like a constant 7, right? I mean, 9 is already like the Joker, like senile, right? Like 3, 4, 5, that's already you're a downer. But I'm kind of like a happy dude. I'm always like telling jokes. My humor is a bit dark, so I don't know if people who like grew up from could appreciate it. But when I was in the military, there was a rabbi of my base. His name was Rabbi Horowitz, like in Fort Bragg, and he had a son named Usher. And I mean, Usher is a good compromise to Simcha, right? I mean, Simcha means happy, but Usher also means sort of like happy and fortunate, right? And it sounds more like, at least thanks to the R&B singer Usher, it sounds more masculine. So that's
Yes,
how
I was gonna say Simcha is a girl's name in the Sephardic community.
Yeah, so like in the Ashkenazi world is masculine and feminine. So but I didn't know that. I mean, I didn't know that by Sephardim, like only men had it, or like females had it. Interesting. Okay, so there you go. That's how I became.
Okay, Asher, I'm gonna bounce now. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, no problem.
Shabbat shalom to you. Have a mazel dik Shabbos.
Gavaldik. Good Shabbos. Shlomo Karlbach, like, used to say good Shabbos every day. You know that? FYI. So there you go. You don't know who Shlomo Karlbach is? It's in terms of me not enjoying Jewish music too much. I mean, Shlomo Karlbach, you could really jam to. He's got soul. Although he was a Lubavitcher, or he started off as a Lubavitcher. Lubavitchers that learned by Rabbinic. So I don't know how that works. Anyways, let's see. Okay, JJ, I guess. It says, I respect Judaism, but my heart is with Jesus Christ. Okay. Hilltop Khazar. What else? Guys, like the show. Share it with the haters. Come on. Let's get some nice discussion here. Nice topics to discuss. By the way, the challenge was made to Albie and this guy Sam Shimon to debate me. So, like, if you want to see this go down, nudge them and tell them that Rabbi Asher's calling both of them out. And I'll tell you why I'm doing it. I mean, I haven't debated Christians in quite a long time, although I think I've debated more Christians from a Jewish perspective, more obviously than any Jewish person alive. And people know me for debating. More notable people like Michael Brown and Yitzhak Shapira, but I've realized that decorum is very important. How we present God is very important. Because if we in some way break the commandment in the Torah, lo tisa, like not to carry God's name incorrectly, meaning making God look ridiculous or doing evil in God's name, what we end up doing is poisoning the well for everybody. These Arab Christians, I think they're Assyrian, but regardless, they have the temperament and the sophistication of people from that part of the world. I'll have to tell you, sophistication in religion began in the West. It began in England and predominantly in the U.S. The idea that we're in some way going to woo you with our behavior, right? I mean, it was the Brits who sent people like John Livingston to Africa. It's people like Billy Graham who raised money to send people all over the world, South America, right? Showing a good side to religion. Right? I mean, clearly, this is just talking about Christianity. But even Judaism, the majority of people who convert to Judaism worldwide come from where? Come from the U.S. There's something special about this country that whenever we present religion, we present it in such an ethical, in such a sophisticated, a morally sophisticated manner. What you don't want are a bunch of these Arab Christians speaking about our Bible and our God while cursing, while talking about people's mothers, right? And this is what this individual, Sam Shimon, has instituted in the religious world on TikTok, okay? And yes, the BHIs predated him, right? And I've debated BHIs, and they're not changing. I don't think these individuals are going to change, but perhaps I could take some of their students away. And fine, they don't want to leave Jesus. I'll toss them to some other teacher who wants them. But people who in some way misrepresent God by cursing and saying the most disgusting things, and trust me, like, I'm not the holiest person in the world, but when we're teaching the Bible, when we're teaching Torah, we're teaching Torah. Okay, let's put all that I don't even know what to talk. I mean, I say street talk, but these guys aren't from the streets. All right, I'm from the streets, and I'm at least able to control my mouth when I'm talking about religion. But these guys, they spend their lives in front of, social media, just insulting people, writing checks they can't cash, by the way. Because I can guarantee you that they won't speak to a Muslim, and for sure they won't speak to me in person like that. Now me, anyone could Google me and see, my capacity for violence. I mean, it's been documented. It's no secret. I'm able to dialogue with people I disagree with in a respectful manner and not insult anybody. So that being said, I'm trying a different tactic. My goal is to attack these bullies of religion and show other followers that their leaders will and could believe. That's it. With the hope that they would find new leadership. Because there's nothing worse than to take the only hope for humanity, which I believe is the Word of God. And this includes Judaism, it includes Christianity, and all the ethical forms of monotheism out there. They take this and they poison it, okay? Just to, in some way, mimic Jerry Springer on TikTok. I mean, I got a restriction. Live restrictions for some audiences. Okay, whatever. And we'll keep going. They try to mimic Jerry Springer on TikTok. And it behooves all decent people, all religious, decent Muslims, Christians, and Jews to war against anyone that makes God look ridiculous. To war against anybody who makes God look ridiculous. And there's no other group than people like Sam Shimon, this guy Albi, and Coptic, and all these Arab Christians that have the same temperament as Arab Muslims, honestly. Okay? At least the crappy ones. So if you teach Torah, if you teach the New Testament, heck, if you teach the Quran, right? I mean, you're all in some way trying to point back to the God of Israel. Do not tolerate people insulting others, talking, like cursing at them, talking about their moms like they're going to piss on their grave. Religious people don't talk like this. Let's not lower the bar, okay? And if anyone happens to disagree, they could debate me first. That's what it means to be an ethical monotheist. I'll tell you what it means. It means that if someone begins to misrepresent monotheism to such an extent, right, that doesn't meet the ethical bar, we go out and we confront them and we make a public spectacle out of them in a respectful manner. The way decent people confront any individual on issues of the Torah is with intellect. It's with knowledge. Who knows the Bible better? Well, let's prove it. Is it someone who has such a limited vocabulary that every second word has to be a curse word? I can show you, from even people like Yaron Reuven that spends half his time online insulting other people, that people who like to defame cannot debate. And nothing frustrates me more when I go on one of these lives to see what's going on, and callers who come up are so scared to say the wrong thing, right? They just, most people are cowards, okay? Clearly. The job of the strong is to build up the weak, not to constantly speak to them in a condescending manner, right? They only allow you to ask questions because there isn't a debate in a question. There's a debate in a challenge. But you begin to challenge them, the first thing they do is begin to insult in the most disgusting ways imaginable. So guys, be of those who fight bullies. And there's nothing worse than a religious bully. That they will bully you with the word of God, and they will call you the worst names, and they have the audacity to claim some sort of lineage back to the Crusaders. They do not compare to Crusaders, okay? And these guys are just limited individuals who are, it seems to me, freshly saved, who in some way want to get followers on TikTok by just acting like a child. But anyways, guys, what's up, Lewis?
Hey, Rabbi, I was waiting for you to get over the chat there. And quick one for you. You regularly say that when people ask you about Christianity versus Judaism or Islam versus Judaism, you also reference back, why not consider the original and not the follow-on, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I've said stuff like that, yeah.
So, quick question on that. Isn't even Judaism, aren't you sort of being untrue in that how much of Judaism is not practiced now without a temple and all the rest? And that you, at some level, are, I don't want to call it outside of, but not fully observant in that aspect.
Hold on. Hey, Ash, like, who has the echo? Was it me or Lewis? Lewis. Okay, fine. All right, so let me respond to that. Okay. I'm going to mute you for a second just because there's a little bit of background noise there. Okay, great. The Judaism that's practiced today, we believe, is part of biblical Judaism, meaning this is not our first exile. When we were in Babylon, when we were in Assyria, right, the we meaning the southern and northern kingdom, the north were in some way exiled by Assyria, the south was exiled by Babylon. How do you think we practice Judaism in exile? The idea is the same way that we practice it today. Now, only because a lot of these practices, like a calculated calendar, are written down in the Talmud by Hillel Bet, it was a rabbi in the time of Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi, doesn't mean they invented it. The understanding is that this was always part of Rabbinic Judaism because there was going to be a time that we didn't have a temple, we wouldn't be in the land of Israel, and we would still have to know how to calculate days when we didn't have a proper procedure set, or where we never calculated the days, right? I mean, the way that the month was determined was by like spotting the sliver of the new moon, and then it was passed down. Some say it, like in one case by bonfire, the other one by a horseback. So we had a safety net to continue practicing Judaism in exile, and that's essentially what we're doing now. I mean, same thing with the way we practice the holidays like Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and exile, we believe that this was done even in Babylon. Right? I mean, in Babylon, they had synagogues as well. So exile Judaism is still Judaism because Israel was expected to go into exile. That's what the Torah says. So what's foreign about it? Well, I'll tell you what's foreign about it. Ideas that have nothing to do with the Sanhedrin, because the Sanhedrin had the authority to establish all these extra customs. However, Gnosticism crept into the Jewish world, what gave birth to Kabbalah and the Zohar and all this stuff. And now I would say that at least 40% of Judaism is made up by this fluff. And it's this fluff that could keep us from ever being redeemed. Right? I mean, one of the things that stops Israel from being redeemed is the mistreatment of converts. It says three things that God said in the Torah that he himself would specifically destroy us over, and one is mistreating the convert, the orphan, the widow. Because of Kabbalah, I think converts have been mistreated more now than ever in Jewish history. So, I mean, clearly, this is a statement of faith. Not regarding the treatment of the converts, but the idea that even in Babylon, the Judaism we practice today was practiced back then. But why wouldn't it be? You know, we can't sacrifice nowadays. There's no temple. It says that we shouldn't build altars outside of the place that God chooses. There's many things we can't do. The thing is, this wasn't the first time that we weren't able to do it. But then we were redeemed and it started up again. So it seems that it's a circle, right? I mean, it's cyclical. Cyclical. It goes round and round again. But go ahead, Louis. If you have a response to that.
Sorry, I had to come off mute. No, that answers roughly. I've heard you say it several times. I wanted to encourage you to find something else and to actually express it in detail.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else I could say on that topic. It's just now I could say that I believe this in faith. I believe in faith that the rabbis in the Mishnah are a direct descendant of the rabbis that appear in Moses' court of 70. And I mean, I believe that authority was passed down from teacher to student, teacher to student. Clearly, we're dealing with religion here, so we're not going to be able to prove all these things. But I mean, I think that's a system that makes sense. Now, I'll tell you that this is probably not the answer that most Jews will give. I mean, most Jews will give you an incomplete answer. They'll say, first of all, that it doesn't matter, that we do whatever our rabbis tell us today, which is probably the stupidest answer you can give. Right? You know, because you're basically saying that we follow rabbis, we don't follow God. So now, if they say that in the Torah, Deuteronomy chapter 17, God told us not to stray from the right into the left of what the judges instruct us, right? That's at least taking it back to the Torah. But if you're going to take the easy way out and say, like, you know what? Like anyone with a black hat and a long beard, I will respect and obey. That's already when we start to look silly. So, yeah. All right. Next. So, Rabbinic Judaism is Torah Judaism. Now, Rabbinic laws are not Torah laws, but Rabbinic laws are sanctioned by Torah laws. I do not believe that the whole oral law was given on Mount Sinai. Nor do I don't think like any of the serious scholars, the Maimonides, you know, whoever you want to throw into the mix, Rashi also believed it. They believed that some things were given on Mount Sinai, and even that one could be skeptical. However, what we do know is that God told us not to stray from the right or to the left of what the Sanhedrin, the judges, the men of the great assembly, the Zakanim, the elders, right, from what they instruct us. And it says that anyone who goes against the court is liable to death penalty. That's what it says in Deuteronomy chapter 17. So we understand that there has to be consensus amongst Israel for Israel to keep moving forward. There's no way that you could run a nation by people walking around with the Bible under their arms, deciphering God's will or Jewish law on their own. I mean, how are you going to move forward as a nation? So there has to be consensus. Yes, this consensus is completely man-made, but sanctioned by God. It's a bit of a sophisticated idea. In the Talmud itself, it tells us about the errors of the Sanhedrin. They made mistakes, although God still told us to listen to these judges. pretty much it. All right, guys, next. Let's keep it going. All right. Why in America is faith and politics so intertwined? It's interesting. So I'm politically conservative. That's no secret. When I lived in Israel, I noticed that conservatism in Israel is not so similar to conservatism in America. We have certain values. One, limited government. The whole pro-life stance. Being against the redefinition of marriage. These are things, plain as if the Memtet, I guess people get upset when I say Metatron, is Hashem. I don't teach it, it's a Kabbalistic idea, but there are some Kabbalistic notions that teach it is. I don't believe in it, but yes, there you go. The Memtet, Metatron means Metatronos from before the throne. It's like, and also there's a place that calls him Hashem HaKatan, like the small God. I don't believe in these Kabbalistic texts, but yes, I mean, Kabbalah teaches that. So the platform that conservatives or right-wingers run on, like in Israel, wouldn't appease right-wingers in America. America is a lot more religious than Israel is. It's a lot more religious in terms of politics than the majority of Europe. I would say places like Poland is for sure catching up. And I think it's probably because it's the nation that was built that is the most similar to biblical Israel. The idea of a melting pot. And that is what essentially made the nation of Israel unique. Meaning, back then, your religion was your citizenship, and your king was your God. Meaning, an Israelite was free to worship a Canaanite God, but he would never become a Canaanite. And on and on. However, the way Judaism or the Torah covenant system functioned is that no matter who your parents were, it doesn't matter what nation you came from, if you entered the people of Israel via conversion by accepting the commandments in your life, you became Israel. Very similar to America. In Europe, you could be a Turk, move to Germany, 3-4 generations, you're still considered a Turk. Now, as much as the left is trying to instill that in American politics today, traditionally, somebody came from Italy and they identified as an American. It's quite similar to Torah Judaism. I know that the Zionists are trying to change that with the whole nonsense that Judaism is an ethno religion. This is one of the reasons I know that I don't identify as a Zionist, although I support Israel, because they don't care if Judaism gets harmed in order to push their political agenda. And by going on lives all day long talking to Muslims and telling people that what makes you Jewish and what makes this land mine is because I have Jewish blood, that hurts the religion. Instead of saying, yeah, if my mother's Jewish according to Jewish law, that makes me Jewish. But also if you convert, and you, my fellow Muslim friend, you can also convert if you wanted to. That's the proper way to do it, right? While at the same time leaving Judaism intact. Pretty clear. That's why I think America has been so blessed till this stolen election. And because they've essentially been so religious. All right, next. All right, we got 20 more minutes. Let's do 20 more minutes. Check this out. I got into building these little robots. This thing's pretty dope. Check this out. This is actually a kit you can buy, but it's just, it's practice to work with the Arduino main board, and the goal is to build a bigger robot. But for the geeks out there, if there's a camera, you can control it with your phone, and I'm in the middle of it, someone trying to build a web server within it, so that I could feed my dogs or play around with them. when I'm away. Interesting, huh? There we go. Enough for show and tell. That's right. Torah is for everyone. Oh, okay. All right. So this is for Ash, by the way. My friend Ash my friend and moderator here. There's some silly people out there, many of them have the title rabbi, who tell Gentiles that the Torah is only for Israel, and if anyone tries to keep the Torah who's not halakhically Jewish, they're in some way stealing from the Jewish people. Right? I mean, this is what's uttered without even asking. Where does it say that? And in the portion that seems to be talking about something like this, what does that mean? So let's go ahead and look up the Rambam. So Maimonides, you can look this up in Hilchot Melachim. It's in Mishnah Torah. I believe it's the last book in Mishnah Torah. It talks specifically about this topic here. Let's see. I think maybe chapter 8. Maybe chapter 10. Or maybe chapter 11. Hold on one second. So the question is, who does Torah belong to? Let's see. I was just teaching on this subject. Hold on 1 second. Well, then I'm going to get you the source. Okay, Hilchos Malachim, chapter 8. A few chapters away. Hilchos Malachim, this is the Rambam, Mishnah Torah. Who does the Torah belong to? And if a Gentile keeps the Torah, is he stealing from a Jew? So let's see. Is it chapter 8? Chapter 8, I think it's not chapter 8. Okay. It's chapter 8, halacha 10. Pretty clear? Let's read what it says. It says, Moses only gave the Torah and the mitzvot as an inheritance to Israel. Okay? As it states in Deuteronomy 33:4, the Torah states it is the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. What else does it say? And to all those who desire to convert from among the nations. Lerotze lehitgayer, who desire to convert, not who converted, because someone who converts is already an Israelite, right? It means the Torah is already theirs. Meaning, if you haven't converted to Judaism, but you keep Torah like it belongs to you, like you're part of Israel, then the Torah is yours already. This is what Maimonides says. It says to Yaakov and Lehitgayed. They would say Lehitgayed, who just want to convert, whether they converted or not. So the Rambam also states that a Gentile could keep any one of the laws. I guess we could cover that also. Let's see. It's also in Hilchos Malachim. I think it's a 10th chapter. Or the 11th chapter. I gotta make a better note of these. Okay, here we go. It says, Akum she'osek b'Torah chayav misa. A Gentile who occupies himself in Torah study, you have to unalive him. What else does it say? They should only be involved in the study of their 7 laws. Similarly, Akum sheshevet chayav misa. A Gentile who rests, he's liable to the death penalty. What else does it say? It says the general principles regarding these matters is that they're not allowed to what? To originate a new religion or create mitzvot based on their own decisions. They may either become righteous converts and accept all the mitzvot or retain their status without adding or detracting from them. If a Gentile studies Torah, makes a Sabbath, or creates a religious practice, a Jewish court should beat him, punish him, and inform him he's obligated to die. However, we do not execute him. It says then, we should not prevent a Gentile or a Noahide who desires to perform one of the Torah's mitzvot in order to receive reward for doing so. This is what the Rambam says. Chapter 10, halacha 10. If a Noahide, or in this case, I mean the Noahide, the censors added like a Ben or Bat Noach, like if a Gentile who observes, wait 1 second, it says, and basically, that we should not prevent a Noahide who desires to perform any of the mitzvot as long as he does it, he does it how we do it, which is essentially for schar, for reward. And this is, I think this answers all the questions. That yes, if you're a Gentile, you're allowed to keep as much of the Torah as you want, as long as you keep it the way Jews keep it. And then, or earlier we spoke that the Rambam said that the Torah is the inheritance of, yes, Israel, Jacob, and whoever wants to keep it. Essentially, whoever wants to become Jewish. And this ties to this, that if you're keeping these mitzvot, just like a Jew keeps it for reward, you're not doing it in a way to ridicule Judaism or to make Jews look silly, then you're allowed to do it. So tell that to anyone who says that a Gentile who keeps Torah is in some way robbing from Jews. There you go. All right. Anyways. That being said, guys, we're going to end for tonight. We'll try to go before Shabbos tomorrow. Take it easy.